Sorry, I zoned out. I completely zoned out. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, 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 hi. How's everybody? How long have I been? How long have I been standing here? How long have I been? Please tell me I haven't been standing here for that long. I guess it's a little embarrassing that I didn't notice. uh, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? First off, Barry, I don't know if you're still here, but hello, Barry. Thank you so much for the follow. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated it. Also, do we like the diffusion or do we want less diffusion? I think less diffusion looks nicer for the raids, you know? All right, chat. This is very important to me. I need to stop the music so we can talk. Y'all, it is always so hot in my place. In this place here. You know why it's so hot all the time? Do you want to know why it's so hot here all the time? Because y'all keep setting the fucking place on fire. Oh, great, I'm not supposed to swear. So stop setting things to fire, okay? Please stop burning things and people. How dare you? Oh my god, Gene, I'm supposed to remind you of something from morning stream? What were you supposed to remind me of? Stop! Bad, Neeks, bad, down. No. It is in my room. I put off so much heat as it is that I have this big computer and then people keep setting things on fire. Oh, no. No. I don't want to explain about the cuck. This is not the kind of streamer I am. Okay, give me a second. We'll keep playing music and let me give some. First off, gluten-free bagel. Thank you for the follow. I noticed you followed right before the start of streams. Thank you. And hello, Snowy Tequila. Oh, but that was 4 hours ago. Never mind. Boku, thank you for getting first. Addie, thank you for getting second. Dwarf, thank you for getting third. Also, hi, Dwarf, Addie. I'm going to thank everybody for checking in. Thank you, Nap Time. Thank you, Full Metal Brook. Thank you, Gibbets, Honeydew, Crucified, Rengoku's wifey. Jupiter, hello, Jupiter. Hello, Sif. Hello, Sif. I always see the first part of your name, the AX, and I'm like, how do I pronounce that? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to pronounce the Sif part. Hello, Neeks. Hello, Miss Oreo Freak. Hello, Blue Valley Lilies. Blue Valley, I know you caught me this morning. This stream's going to be a lot more energetic, so if that's not your vibe, I totally understand that. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello, Ocean. How you doing, Echo? Hello, Night Blossom. Hello, Ace of Spades. Hi, Spell. Hi, Amethyst. And hello, Toho. It's all in the check-ins today. Why are you setting things on fire? Stop setting things on fire. Stop with the fire. Okay, you know what? You're right. There we go. We're back leaving you in prison. At least the fire, thank you, Anya, is not going to spread anymore, okay? Okay, no, it's not cold. It's corner. You're staying in the corner. You're living in this corner now. This is where you are. It's fine. It's someone else get crucified. I'm 4 inches shorter. Stop letting. I need to get a water system involved here or something so that this will. Oh, well, good, perfect. You're just stop. Okay, I don't know what I need. I don't know if I need to get like a sprinkler system or something to make y'all behave. Maybe we just need spray bottles that I can get involved here. But fire, bad fire, no fire, no. Okay. Hey, Vanya. So. Do I have to explain the... Don't praise the fire. Thank you, Addie. Thank you. Addie's put up a water barrier. We're going to be fine. It's... Well, I mean, okay, everybody but Gibbets might be fine. Okay. All right, come closer. We're going to talk about this. This is the one time I'm talking about this, and I'll never mention it ever again, okay? Okay? So... There was a Twitter post saying, oh, a cuck is a person who likes watching somebody else have sex, right? Or like watching their significant other have sex with somebody. Like, does that mean if they don't enjoy it, they're no longer a cuck? And here's the thing, chat. First off, that's just wrong. Because the only requirement of there is that it is your partner that is being slept with, okay? If it's a partner or a girlfriend or whatever, you're being denied. The point is that it is more of a humiliation thing than anything to do with enjoying watching. It's either humiliation, it's a reclamation, it's something. If you just enjoy watching other people have sex, you're just a voyeur. You're just a voyeur. So no, a cuck does not have to enjoy it. In fact, that is almost explicitly not the case half the time. They do enjoy it, but they enjoy not enjoying it. You know, it's a mixture of things. So okay, there we go. That is your explanation. So like them being like, oh, they didn't enjoy it if they don't enjoy it. No, not needed. Voyeurism. If you don't enjoy watching people have sex, then you're not a voyeur. Okay. Okay. That's that. That's it. That's it. We're done. Never bringing that up again. It just bothered me. It bothered me. Anya, go take your meds. Go. And now I'm going to eat a cracker. Don't take cannibalism. Don't take cannibalism. You can't take cannibalism when I eat a cracker. Gene, stop committing cannibalism. You can't eat no crackers. Wow. Wow. I'll have you know. Yeah, I'm a purebred saltine. I'm gonna be honest. I've got 50 different shades of white in me. All right, back in the corner. Back in the corner. You're all staying over there. Okay? Okay? Are we done with the fires? Thank you for the hug, Anya. We good? Why are you behind bars? No, you're behind bars because people kept starting fires. No, stop the fires. No. I'm just leaving in there. It's fine. No, Gibbets, you can come out. Gibbets, come out. Gibbets, come here. Come here. I'm only letting Gibbets out. Everybody else, you have to stay. Everybody, stop moving. Good. All right, come here, Gibbets. All right, thank you. We can only rebuild Gibbets so many times, okay? We can only rebuild Gibbets so many times. So it's kind of necessary that we leave Gibbets out of there. Yeah. Tell Vanya you can't place her. You can't place Vanya. Hello, Barry. Barry, I like your model, by the way. Okay. Nobody can replace Vanya. You also can't place Vanya. All right, so if you're... No, I'm not letting you out. Until you all stop starting fires, I'm... I don't know why you keep finding burnable things. Chat, have you tried being less burnable? Okay? Okay? Try being less burnable. Look, I know it's against the Geneva Convention to No! It backfired. I'm burning now. No, Barry, stop it. Where are you getting... You just got here, Barry. You just got here. How dare you? No. Don't... Oh. I'm just going to ignore you all. I'm going to ignore you all. Y'all can just... Yeah, hey, fine. It's fine. See? Haha, it's happening in another room now. I don't have to worry about it. Ha 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 ha. You're burning? Stop burn. What? Why did I let you all keep your phones? All right. I'm going to Google really quick. What to do if your chat keeps setting themselves on fire. Okay. You're... So Google's AI kicked in and went, your chatbot is caught in a harmful repetitive loop, a behavior often known as AI doom loop or going rogue. To resolve this, your primary goal is to interrupt the repeating behavior and reset the bot's conversational context. Are you AI? Chat, are you AI? Wait. Give me a second. I'll be back down there. Just give me 1 second here. We're gonna... You're not AI, are you? You're not AI, are you? You would tell me if you were AI, right? Right? Right, chat? You're real. You better be real. Hmm. Good. Good. Make me worry. All right. Anyways. Still leaving you in there. It's fine. So, plans for today. Plans for the day. Plans for the day. We've got some games, chat. We have one game. AI is really smart, and I am. Hey, at least you know what you are. At least you know. Well, I suppose you're back here like this again. Okay, just for you, Addy, if you have this voice for the next 5 minutes. Oh, and I forgot to do this. Yep, yes, very stinky. All of you still stink. All of you still stink. You'll need to shower more often, okay? You must shower a little bit more often. All diese Leute hier. Warum bist du so? Oh, und dieser auch. Okay. I'm such a good doggy. There, you happy? You happy? I did it for the amazing. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I do not bully Vanya, I only tease. Now, plans. Actually, I don't like looking at you from behind the gate. We're going to let the gate down this time. Don't disappoint me. No going anywhere. Come closer. A little bit closer. Okay. So, plans for today. Plans. We are going to be doing a few things. We are going to be doing hanging out, I suppose. I suppose that's one of the things we always do. And the other one we do is playing Karma the Dark World. I don't know if you've all remembered it from yesterday. Good game, great game so far. We haven't beaten it, but I believe we're getting close. So this may be the last day of Karma, and if you're not here for that, then you're going to miss out. Which is funny because, you know, I'm telling you this, but anyone who would actually care who's not here is, you know, not here. People love you more than me. No one loves anybody more than anybody else, okay? Except me. I'm loved the most. I'm legally required to be loved the most. Hiding under the sex dungeon. But there is no... It's a normal dungeon. It's a normal dungeon. It's a normal dungeon. There is not a... How got your soda this time? You got... I do have a soda this time. It's cola. Good. Hey. Lou Ghost. Okay. I need you to stand right there. We're going to have you back up a few steps, okay? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't worry about it. Just stay. Just a little bit further. So, are we good? You good? Okay, don't look down. It's fine. Don't... Now you're also stuck here. Congratulations. Welcome. You're not allowed to go anywhere now. You'll be fine. It's fine. It's a lovely place to be. And look, the cage swings. See the cage swings. It goes woo, 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 woo. So you know, it's enjoyable experience. So don't worry. I will make sure you stay fed. Maybe. No, it's fine. You didn't want them early enough. Can I get some... See, y'all went over to the man's place yesterday. We visited that man. Oh, what is his name? I liked the man. He's very cool, but I don't remember his name right now. His name is long and has words and letters in it, but we met him yesterday. Chat, what was the lovely little cat boy's name? That's his name, Kai. Kai is very cool. I liked Kai. So Kai, yes, we went over to Kai's house and he told you about feeding his chat. And now all of you think that you deserve food. Look. I've already explained to you. It would be so expensive to feed all of you. Can I have my laptop for skips? Fine, you can keep your laptop. You can bring your cat. We have 2 cats now. Hey, look at that. You escape through the small hole. Why are we allowing small holes? Who left the hole? I sound like Sebastian from Black Butler. Wait, really? Oh, isn't that fun? I like Sebastian. Oh, he is a very, very lovely one. I have forgotten what I was talking about now. Can I have my plane? How are you going to get a plane? How are you going to get a commercial-sized plane in a cage? Explain that one to me, Naptime. The cage is only so big. I don't know how it's fitting all of you in there right now, but you know. Fine. Okay. Okay. One more day of ordering food. One more day of ordering food. Und then, I have to let you starve for a little while, okay? Okay? So today you get fed. Tomorrow I will starve you. Can we agree on that? The food won't be poisoned this time. Maybe next time. I'll flip a coin. Wait a second. Alexa, flip a coin.
Okay. You got heads.
We got heads. The problem is I did not decide which side is which side. So yeah. I'll decide on the day. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll feel generous. Maybe I won't. We'll see. We'll see. How long do I have us? Thank God I can stop this now. Okay, we're back. Heads we win, tails you lose. I mean, the cage is broken. The cage is not broken. What do you mean the cage is broken? The cage is total. The cage. The cage. Give me cage. Well, it might be stuck. Nom, nom, nom. Oh, God damn it. All right. Apparently I'm doing Southern now. I'm gonna figure this out later, all right? I'm gonna figure this out later. When I need to get you out of here, then we'll do that. But for right now, I mean, y'all look pretty in that cage, right? I mean, yeah, here, come here. Hey, you're comfortable, right? Like you don't need anything? You doing good in there? Right, chat? Y'all fine? All right, good. Glad to hear it. All right, well, fine. I'll figure out how to get a taco and a plane and a cookie. I mean, y'all, yeah. Darling, you know you're absolutely beautiful, don't you? Especially when you're in a cage and not complaining. So remember, if you want to stay pretty, you better stay, complacent. Fine, I'll get a blanket too. Oh, hello. All right. Now, where were we? Give me matcha latte. Nix, we were so close. I had everybody calm down, and you had to start the. No, bad, Nix, bad. Stop it. I'm put you out. Anyway, so we're gonna be playing Karma the Dark World. Oh, and don't forget, we have 2 song covers coming out this month. We got Oogie Boogie, and we have potentially, song Phantom of the Opera coming out, which will be a duet with La La the Little Alien. That girl is classically trained opera singer, and I do not stand a chance of comparing, so that's why we're doing the 2 song covers, so at least one of them makes me feel better about myself. All right, I should actually launch the game real quick. Chat, I'll be right back. You stay here. I'm gonna go, don't worry why in a cage. You stay here. I'll be right back. I need to go check on something real quick. Don't worry about it, okay? It's fine. I gotta do a thing. You don't mess it up for me, all right? Hey, Blue Valley Lilies, do you want to know why we have a safe word? So when I walk up and whisper little words, if you get too flustered or bothered, then I know to back off. Sorry, I'll be right back. Y'all behave yourself. Excuse me. Barry. I think I saw mention of picking a lock. Hand it over. Give me the pick. Yeah, Barry, I saw you picking a lock. There's no. Uh-huh. Really? You behave yourself. I'll be right back. Really? Really? I'll just get the game set up. I see immediately. Immediately. How could you? How could you? I was gonna let you watch me play the game. Don't you want to watch me play the game? I got a little TV set up and every. I had snacks. No snacks, no game watching. Fine. I guess I'll keep the snacks to myself this time. Yeah, I had a little blanket fort set up, and y'all could have come watch me play the game, but fine. You know what? I'll let it down. I'll let it down this time. There. Oh wait. There. Better. Now come on. Behave yourself. We'll enjoy the game together. I actually have snacks for once. Legitimately, I got Cheez-Its, I got Nutella biscuits, I got me some crackers and some ham. Don't ask me why I got crackers and ham, but it's like crackers and ham. I got a giant bag of gummy worms that are in the corner over there. I got a giant bag of chocolates. I got beverages. I got multiple different kinds of beverages and not just water. Chat, I spent $70 buying me snacks because I'm sick and tired of not having snacks. I'm sick and tired of not having snacks. What do you mean, cheese? It's a nap time. I'm putting you in the cell. Girl dinner king right here. I also have sun-dried tomatoes, a piece of ginger, because occasionally I like eating ginger. Quacker. All right. I also have gluten-free cookies as well. I have lemon wafer gluten-free cookies. It's time. You ready? Let's go. And gluten-free chips. Oh, I gotta start the music. God, he's so pretty. You never had Cheez-Its before? They're not bad. Honestly, so growing up, I do still have Nutella cookies. What kind? Hey, Addie, sweetie, darling. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean I still have cookies? Of course I still have cookies. How much of a big back do you think I am? Shoot. That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. This ain't right. Did I mess up? Huh. Oh no. Oh no. Yes, you can have a cookie. Of course you can have a cookie. Oh, please tell me I didn't do it. Please don't. Please. Okay, I did accidentally overwrite the game save, but wait. Okay, I accidentally overwrote the game save, but we can go to this chapter. And so we're fine. I don't know how I did that. I don't know how I did that. And this part was cool. Was I always this tall? Oh man, it's tall. Oh, bye, honey. Mwah. Was he always this tall, or am I just crazy? Like this feels tall, doesn't it? Yeah, I might have deleted the game. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Luckily, this game has a chapter. How did I end up taller? I did not call the phone number. What is going on here? I don't remember this at all. Oh, I do remember this. You ready? You ready? Here we go. Based on the needs of the Leviathan Corp, the company has made the following decisions and arrangements. All scheduled holidays will now be converted to work days and will not be recorded as overtime for purpose of payroll or salary. We hope that employees in each of the departments will take advantage of this fantastic opportunity to improve your professional capabilities, hone, and to improve your current skills. The work to ensure the corporation's profits increase as well as your own personal salaries. Disclaimer, as a reminder, there will be no additional salary promotions due to the change in work schedule. In addition, all time off requests will be denied. It is expectation of the department heads to abide by and enforce these scheduling changes and monitor the efficiency of each employee. As a company, we will be monitoring overall performance for each of the departments on a periodic basis. Yeah, no, that we're in a post-apocalyptic world. I mean, like, girl, what are you expecting to happen on them to pay us? I really need to get up and clean, but I have zero energy, even though I got a whole bunch of sleep and I didn't work today. Oh, chat, did you know I don't get holidays? I don't get holidays. One. Because I'm a contract worker, they deny me holidays. Oh, I'm not a professional streamer, honey. I wish I was. I wish I was. But no, I'm a contract worker. And so I can't work on holidays. And because of that, I go. What did I say about apologizing? And because I'm a contract worker, that means that, yeah, I won't get paid and I can't work. I know, right? All right. Hello, kitten lover. I'm making coffee jelly. Who wants some? Oh, I want coffee jelly. Oh. So far, it's so hard for me to focus with them talking at the same time. But in this game, oh, how's the volume? Is the volume low? I think the volume's probably low. Oh, yeah.
In your control. In turn, you become a more productive member of your team. All emotional
What do you mean, kind of low?
enthusiasm disappear. The end result is a very positive frame of mind, allowing you to experience peak
Anyways,
performance.
so a company came and decided to kind of take over. And the company's attempt is to try to make everybody better through various stuff. And it's weird. It's just like the world is being run by this single company. And there's all sorts of weird procedures and stuff to make, you know.
Your emotions are fear, doubt, misgiving, hatred, and jealousy.
So I'm getting. Oh, here we go. This game has a lot. It's hard to explain it. Is that why we don't have TV heads? Other people have TV heads, and I think that is part of this procedure that they get done to, like, you know, be better workers. It's very 1984. Ah, but it's so cool. It's so cool. Oh, Moreau. Very cool that you're teaching yourself Blender. I'm super excited about that. China need to raise $8,000 by the way.
in life and at work will be lifted and replaced with
So if everybody wants to give me $100,
Jesus forgot to immediately enjoy
I refuse on you.
changing benefits of this technological
Oh yeah, this is the guy we ripped his leg off of.
number now to reach our customer service team that are waiting to assist you with your order. Disclaimer. Access to this product is available only to employees of Leviathan Corporation.
This man has no leg. I want to see what happens if I don't take the blue bottle though, because last time we did. Food always counts. Is it gonna let me not drink? Come on. Oh, I love agar agar. Blue bottle. Fine, I'll take it. The blue bottle is like an energy drink. But apparently, it's like drugs, and you will get addicted to taking it.
Stumbling about your day with your mind in a fog, life seeming like a twisted illusion, leaving you feeling lost and disturbed. Are you
I mean, meth, maybe? Chat, don't do meth, chat. Don't do meth. Meth is bad for you. There we go, another one. And bump. Bump. Yay! Okay, we're almost caught up. We're almost back to where we were. Can stack up on monsters, that seems safe. Don't do too much caffeine, chat. I love you all so very, very much. Sorry, I have to wait for him to stop crying. Stop. Oh. Okay. I just realized I can't see redeems. Thank you for the check-in. Oh, thank you for the stretch. And thank you for the hydrate. Don't do too much caffeine, chat. Just take care of yourselves, okay? All right, and now we should be going back here. Throw sugar at crime. Hey, y'all remember this part? Do y'all remember this part? No. You can, okay, you can take caffeine. You can take caffeine. But, like, don't do too much, because it will thicken your blood.
I really don't like it here.
Look at me,
Everyone
I'm a
is
loser.
fake.
A capital V low-class type of loser.
Yeah. Oh, you remember this. You remember this, right? It remembers you. It remembers you. I'll give you that lovely TV. And there he is. Look at him. Look how pretty he looks without a head on. And now we put the head on. And there he goes. Hi, Leon. All right, it's not gonna be scary, chat. It's not gonna. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming.
It's here.
Oh, it's here. Oh, not the tight passages again. Come on, come on. You hear it? You hear it, chat? It's coming. But, oh, it's coming. Oh, here it comes.
No! It's here again!
Should we take a look at it? Oh, it's right there. Oh, shit. Okay. Should we see what happens if it gets me?
I must go faster!
Should I stop? Oh no, chat, my hand slipped. I wonder what it would do to me.
My prosthetic!
Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Ooh.
This isn't real. This can't be real. Don't kill me. You've already taken one of my legs. What more do you want? I'm begging you. I have a kid. I haven't gotten to say goodbye. Cassette? Don't kill me.
Okay, that was the music box, and so now we do this. And you all remember this part? I heard Goblin Dungeon Cleaning looks a lot of fun.
What was that?
Not as bad the second time. It was cool, though. And now time to do sad. Time to be sad. There we go. Yeah, you remember this part? Here's the sad part.
I don't know where to begin. Grace.
I don't know. Do we want to skip this or do we want to watch it again?
Starlight, my radiant moon, my smart, beautiful daughter. I love you more than anything in the world.
Hi, Vix. How you
The
doing?
moon and back.
We've already seen this. Does anybody want to watch this again?
But I should have been a better father.
We're going to skip past it.
I focused too much on my career. I was always gone, leaving early.
It was a good scene, don't get me wrong. Amazing scene. Loved it. Very good. But we need to catch back up to where I accidentally deleted the game. Almost there. Thank you for the resub, or thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see if you won. You almost won. You almost won. That was gonna be insane. That would have been so cool. I think gift subs should win more often. Maybe just a personal opinion, you know? Alright, here we go. Entering back into the brain thing. Da, da, da.
Begin Rome.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Synchronization
Denge.
complete.
Should I go lower? Da, da, da. Alright, we're back. We're in it. Let's do it! How does it catch you off guard? It tells you when it's gonna happen. Who was the one that did the ara ara and the screaming? Was that Chippy Doki? Or Iron Mouse? One of those. Do you want to hear me ara ara? You want to hear me ara ara? Ara ara. Let me take it. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. You don't pay attention? Well, see, proof nobody watches me. That one was higher pitch. It doesn't count. If I go really high pitch, it's not going to be good anymore. You see? So that's why it's fine.
This is the EM lab, and this is Technician Sean. It's January 28th, 9:40 p.m. I'm conducting peer review of the energy absorption properties of the new substance, Dasein.
What's up, Leon?
After colliding with the rays, Dasein has turned into spherical form, which makes it easier to observe.
Hmm.
The test device is functioning as per normal. I'll test using gamma rays of different intensities, preparing for testing.
That's so cool. Yes. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of we're gonna do some science here. Chat, you ready for science? It's science time. Wait, was it? There we go. Owl. Owl.
Executing gamma ray test 1.
What are you going to tell us later?
Ray intensity is normal. The surface of the substance show no obvious reaction. Preparing for test 2.
All right, what's test 2? Oh, I think we replaced one of them with a line. Yeah, there we go.
Increasing the gamma ray intensity.
Because Addy hates me.
The surface of the substance shows irregular distortions after being hit by the energy bodies. I will now make a third adjustment.
No. I cannot lick my elbow. Can't reach it. Oh, right, we're doing something. I got distracted. What are we doing? Right. Ah, there it is. Yes. Well, how do you know I tried? You can't see me. You don't know if I tried. How would you know I tried, huh? Explain it to me. Explain it to me right now.
It only consumes higher energy bodies. Its size has increased again. I should request a larger vessel to contain it next time. The time is now 9:45 p.m.
I don't think you hate me. Maybe a little
test
bit.
25.
What do you mean tongue struck?
Damn it.
Right. No arson, chat. Don't commit arson. Stop committing arson. Arson's illegal. It's a crime. It's you. You definitely. Carmia, how dare you? How dare you, Carmia? All right. Got to read the mail.
How did I manage to forget that?
Okay, already did that. How do I go back? There it is. Okay. Press and hold the button to activate the connected device. No device detected. Okay.
I can finally go home to Grace.
There is no sex dungeon. Oh no, why am I getting this? 1 second.
Professor, all Matchbox members have left. The Dasein supply has been connected to him as well.
Good. I'm bringing his food to the 33rd floor. If you're at 3304, please open the door for me.
Sure. Unlocking it now.
Apart from me, is someone else also studying Dasein? Bodies? Matchbox? What secrets are they hiding? I should see what's going on. I could get praised for reporting it.
Chat, I hate sharing names with somebody. I hate sharing names with somebody. I have like a thing set up on my phone for like work messages, and they were talking about the same person with the same name as me. And so I was like, oh crap, did I do something? Did I do something wrong? No. It's just this different guy with the same name. It's like, oh, okay. Well, dang. Mm-hmm.
I don't feel so good.
Warning. Dive subject cerebral status unstable.
Oh no.
What's the test subject status?
Dormant, as usual.
Mm-hmm.
From now on, I'll
Exactly.
deliver the body
Exactly,
around this
Gibbets.
time. You'll take them to cold storage.
Understood. Professor, I can feel that his body is still mutating from the Dasein injection.
Ooh.
We'll try our best to contain the test subject.
Ooh.
Professor, is there a way to free his consciousness from that? Like you and
Who's there?
it was the body falling onto the floor.
Oh, this is freaky. Chat, we're about to be eaten. You ready, chat?
I'll think about your suggestion. Remember, call me immediately if something happens, huh?
We're gonna get eaten by a monster. Oh, not there. You don't have to be sitting. The clicking is just to get your attention. I want to make sure chat's paying attention to me.
I can unlock the elevator.
I feel like I haven't been getting enough attention today, chat. Why? Is everybody doing things right now? Is that what it is? Have y'all not put off your entire day to just watch me stream? Like, what's wrong with you, chat? Why are you having lives outside of the stream? I can't believe that you are... God damn it. God damn it. All right, fine. No, Gene, I'm tired. All right, it's okay. I'm just hearing you. I'm just snipping my hair. Y'all are doing things. Okay, you know what? Fine. Justifiable. Y'all can go back to what you're doing. Here, we'll do a little clicky so you can do whatever you want to do. Clicky. So I was texting my instructor. Oh, god damn it. All right, we're going to do the sniffers. Hello Kitty dailies. What do you mean Hello Kitty dailies? And then, of course, the, ooh, woo, thank you so much for the redeem. There you go. Jeez, there were so many of them. Oh, God, I'll take that. Thank you. You done eating? How was your food? What'd you eat, Blue Valley Lily?
Today's July 21st.
I did, but I wasn't expecting that.
I'm doing well. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but don't worry.
Oh, that's depressing.
The professor said this method will keep you alive. He doesn't know how long it'll last, but I'll be waiting.
January,
For the
February,
day
March,
we're
April,
reunited.
May, June, July. Well, you at a coffee shop? Addy, you at a January, February, March, April, May, June, July. 0722. 0722. All right, maybe 0721. There we go. I don't know you at a coffee shop. I would have been less, you know, bothersome. No.
Dasein, I'm trying to mix this new substance into 30% of the test subject's blood.
Wait.
Lucas's body is slowly regenerating, but it's also undergoing abnormal changes. His body is becoming ever more deformed.
Fight me.
It appears to be related to the food he's eaten. Every time I control him, I feel as if a part of me stays within him, or maybe a part of what's inside him stays in me.
Well, that's creepy. All right. Sorry, I mean, wait, your manager not managers, your editor watches me? I'll tell your editor that they are now my favorite editor. They are now my favorite person who edits. Hey, Gluten-Free Bag, I saw you follow earlier. Welcome. How you doing? Oh, this game's amazing. This game is so amazing. It is disappointing to me that this game was not bigger, you know? I mean, you don't. Gluten-free bagel. I'm gonna eat you. I forgot about that. I know you're gluten intolerant or have a gluten allergy or gluten. What's the thing that you are with the gluten? Cause it ain't gluten intolerance. It's celiac. You're celiac. I never realized how you know. Wait, where's this? Okay, I know. I didn't actually read. Give me a second. Can I? Computer maybe? No. All right. We're pleased to announce that after a period of effort and improvement, the control terminal functionality in the Research Institute can be significantly upgraded. Previously, the terminal could only be used for door lock controls, but now it has been expanded to connect with a wide range of devices, such as elevators, control switches for research equipment, and more. Control terminal will be required the use of ID cards for identification and security measures that will greatly enhance the security of the Research Institute. Please ensure that you keep your personal ID safe. All right, we got it. Where is the terminal? Is it here? No, that ain't it. All right, write me something. I don't know. Write me something. Anything. Write me some poems. I like poems. Dear employees, all personnel prohibited from staying in the Institute. We've already read that. I've received Lucas' observation report. It looks like he's been eating more frequently. Oh, I should actually just do this. Oh, whoops. There it is. Received Lucas' observation report. It looks like he's been eating more frequently. Give me 3 words. Void. Luck. Lonely. There you go. Ad starts in about 2 minutes, chat. Get ready for it. Put in the mailbox at First Main Street. I'll send someone to get it. Starting from the day after tomorrow, you must be in room 30304 before. All right. And we're gonna. Can I delete this? Dang, that'd been cool. I kind of want to delete all the emails. Here we go. Perfect. Perfect. Easy. I love my mods. My mods are great. They do goofy. Why are we going down? Why are we going down? Why are we... Oh.
Please. Stop.
Oh, I'm such a good doggy. How dare you?
Warning. Dive subject showing intense cerebral rejection. Lowering synchronization rate to maintain dive.
Hi, Vanya. Lowering synchronization rate. And there we go. Okay, and back to the normal voice. Okay, handwritten note, freezer room. The freezer room door is broke. I'll send you corpses every day from tomorrow. What? Never bring your own ID card. Use the card I gave you. Make sure the door to the 3304 is locked. Wait until the power is out before taking any action. Do not attempt any physical interaction without my permission. Ooh. The door closed. Oh, we're gonna get it. Oh no. Oh no. That's not right. That's not good. Thank you for the sub. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Wait. Thinking. That's insane. What? Okay. Sir, can you move? Would you like to move for me? Please move. Please move. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna scoot. I'm gonna scoot. I'm gonna scooch. I'm gonna scoot. I'm gonna. No, it's not working. Okay. Oh. Pfft, dumb. Can we? Can I interact with the... Wait a second. Maybe. Do you have something on you? Like a card, perhaps? No? Do you wanna... No? Dwarf. Tell me what I'm supposed to do here. I'm being defeated by this. Okay, can I... did I leave my card in there? Okay, well, if I did, it's gone now. Skill issue? Hey! Yes! Okay, make sure the door 3 0 locked here. Don't come down. Extraction room, leaving changes. Your choice. Not that way. Nothing here. Oh, it's an ad break. Well, hopefully I can figure this out during the ad break. Oh my frickin'... Okay, look. Well, we're going to be in an ad break, so I'm going to put on the ad stuff real quick. Y'all behave yourself while I'm gone. 5 minute ad break. You ready? You ready to play some words? We'll play some words? You gonna behave yourself? Play some words? All right. 5, 4, 3, 2. Wow. Wow. Wow, chat. That you lost. What happened? What happened? There was only level 2. That was only level 2. You're normally so good at this. I'm a little disappointed, but you know, that's okay. You know, it happens. Happens to the best of. I went back to the main menu. It's okay, chat. It's okay, chat. You know, next time I'll play it with you. That way we can make sure that it happens, okay? Look, just because you didn't participate, you're still in chat. You let all of chat let itself down with each other. Mwah. But I love you anyways. Mwah. The dog boy that can. Hey, if I had helped you, we would have won that. We would have done amazing. I would have instantly nailed that. You don't even know. You don't know how good I am. What? Flower, what do you gotta go do? Dogs don't have to. Then I'm not a dog, am I? Because I got thumbs. Thumbs all day. Why do you have so many different colored fires? Ooh. Axe. Yay. So I can axe you a question. Jack, can I ask you a question? Jack, can I ask you a question?
I told you to stop!
Who? How long was it there? 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 I'm Mimi. Lovely to meet you.
We made a deal. Stop resisting, Sean.
Oh. Oh, what'd you do? Oh, yeah, I love the thing. I love that thing. Oh, jeez. Okay.
There's no going back. Let me through.
Hi, Mama.
What the hell is that thing?
Can't believe it took that long. Oh, here we go. Really? Oh, it's so cute. I'm glad. I love the thing. It's one of my favorite things. There we go. All right, here we go.
Let me leave so I can be a good father. Give me a chance. You can! Once this is over, Sean!
Okay, I gotta put my back on this one. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Nope, there it is. Got it.
Grace is safe. Now let me continue.
I'm so worried. Come on, 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 come on. Yes.
They're pissed. You hear me? I'm telling you to fuck off. You made a deal.
Oh, that's creepy.
Please let me go. I want to go home.
Oof. Damn, 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 damn.
Dive subject silent. Cerebral rejection ceased. Restoring synchronization rate.
There we go. We'll take that. No arson. No arson. No arson.
I tried transferring Lucas's brain to the test subject, but I failed. The test subject lacks any form of autonomous behavior other than maintaining the basic functions of life. Currently,
Arson's bad for you.
the test subject relies solely on nutrient fluids for survival. His status is deteriorating. Maybe there's nothing I can do. With the equipment they provide, I can transfer my mind into the test subject and eat on his behalf. For a moment, I felt as if I could talk to him within the test subject. Though it was vague, I know it's him. His body. He's rotting.
Huh. What? Wait, so is this how the mind stuff works? They did this experiment and they figured out the mind stuff? Alright, let's go. Open the door.
Warning, dive target Shawn Mendes displaying irreversible brain damage.
Daniel, you promised me. Protect.
Warning, dive target Shawn Mendes showing brain rejection.
Mother, terminate connection.
Termination in progress. Termination countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mother, where am I?
What the heck?
You lied to me! Mother! Will I die? Take us out of here!
Warning, Shawn Mendes showing brain rejection. Warning, Shawn Mendes showing high intracranial pressure.
Hey, Shawn, look at me. Control yourself. The real you isn't here. Mother, cut the connection.
Emergency termination activated.
Shawn. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Daniel, I still
Warning,
have
subject
child.
showing severe brain hemorrhage.
Mother, why are we still here? I don't want to die. Save me. I don't want to die. Why? Why are you just like the others? No, Mother, terminate the connection.
Forced connection channel activated.
Mother!
Synchronization successful.
You liar! Liar!
What? 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 Oh, hi, X Barbie. Lovely to see you. Thank you. And also, hello, Red Moon. Oh my God. What the hell was that?
Warning, subject showing critical brain hemorrhage.
What are you doing? No, just let me go!
Warning, subject showing unstable and high intracranial pressure.
What?
Help me.
What? What? This is so insane. Oh, right? And he's just eating dead bodies. Like, there's no reason that needs to eat dead bodies.
I'm sorry.
She's pretty.
This should have happened.
Hi. What's happening here? Oh, well, okay. I mean, damn, gorgeous.
Shawn.
Agent McGovern, we notice that you are mentally unstable. Closing window.
Sorry. We noticed you're mentally unstable. I mean, you and every other therapist I've ever had.
What have I done?
Agent McGovern, we need you to answer several questions. How does it feel to embrace someone?
Strange scent, warmth,
Family members.
father, mother,
Please answer, Agent McGovern.
father, mother.
Wow.
Daniel.
This is so cool. Oh no, I'm a child. Oh no, I'm a child. Oh no, we're gonna see childhood trauma.
Coming. Father says you can't stop time. But I can stop this train.
Oh, there's childhood trauma coming. You ready? Oh, thank you for the hydrate.
This is what I keep seeing in my dreams. I don't know who that old man is, but he seems so lonely and sad.
Oh no. Child 1. Previous child 2. Name crossed off. Oh yeah, chat, drink some water. Ooh. Chat, we're the replacement child. Drink water, quench your thirst.
I don't get why he's mad at me.
Alright, we're leaving. Well, let me leave. Alright, Mama. Hex. Barbie, sweetie. Drink your water. Come on. Drink your water. All of you, chat. You need... Chat. Drink water. Hello, Father. What am I doing in here? I got distracted. There it is.
What were you doing just now? You know your father's so busy every day. It's rare that we get to spend quality time together like this.
I was drawing and somehow I dozed off. I had a really strange dream. I dreamed I was a thought.
Oh, I can see. Wait, if you.
But that's odd. I've always wanted to be a scientist like you.
A scientist, you say? If drawing could help you become a scientist, the whole world would be filled with scientists.
You can see their face if you look at it.
With your test score.
I want to go to school.
Daniel, you know you and...
Look, you can see their face.
Is that the tutor?
Shh.
Oh, I'm so excited. Jingle, jingle, jingle. What is it? What is it gonna be?
Daniel,
Oh no! So if you look at it close enough, you can see like little face and it moves around. It's like smaller faces.
Listen to your mother.
Wait, are they only supposed to have one kid? Is this like a one kid situation?
remember, don't come out unless your father or I tell you to.
Ah, it's so cool. The back room's jingle, jingle, jingle. If you're trapped in the dream of the other, you're... 1 hour after Sean's death, early morning, May 1st, 1976. Yay, deep down. What do you mean we're only in Act 2? What do you mean we're only in Act 2? Excuse me? Do you think there's 3 acts? There has to be at least 3 acts, right? No. There's got to be 3 acts. There's got to be 3 acts at least. Oh. 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 That's not pleasant. Oh. He just like me for real, chat. Welcome back, so. Oh. Hi. He do need a hug. He need a little hug. Oh, I'm sorry, Sophie. Don't explode me with your mind. I realized that that guy's head exploded. The guy that we were like head, brain, mind. Oh.
8490.
Good evening, Miss
Hottie.
Vice.
Vice. Right.
Should I address you as Daniel McGovern?
Of course.
Do you mind, Mr. McGovern?
Oh.
Looks like you've done your research on me, Miss
Yeah.
Vice.
Stream checking. Thank you for the stream checking. You know what, Sophie? Take your own time.
Magazines.
It's getting weirder and weirder. It's so cool.
Music. Homeroom really is an inviting place.
I do actually have some ibuprofen.
It relies on
And sinus
fabricated
meds.
illusions to keep cowards in the dark.
Etc.
I'd advise you watch what you say.
Suspect Rachel Weiss, please report to the dive room.
Honey, the guy before you's head exploded. Your head's gonna explode too.
What are you doing?
We are all but lost lambs, are we not? Let's go, Daniel.
She just kissed me. Did I get kissed? 3. I pick 3. Big 3, my lord. You know what? Let's hear it. 1 second. Letter to Donna. I would have to see if I can hit it, and then I don't know. We'll have to see that first. She does got some serious mommy vibes. I mean, like, damn. Isn't Rachel Weisz from The Mummy? From The Mummy? The Mummy? The Mummy? As in, do you mean mom, mother, thingy, or are we talking about The Mummy, as in the movie The Mummy? I don't know anymore. All right.
Can you remind me of the case particulars?
The interrogation
Oh,
subject
wait, is she?
Rachel
Oh, that's so
Weisz,
cool.
Female, 30 years old. Currently a senior physics researcher at the Winston Research Institute. Appears in Shawn Mendes's case and listed as a suspect. Turned herself
I picked the
in
worst
to the
version.
Thought Bureau in the
Send me the
early
better
hours
version then.
of the morning.
What's the status of the dive subject?
Heart rate 100. Breathing rate 40 to 60. Blood pressure 120/80.
Oh, wait.
Temperature normal.
All of them have names of famous people. That's interesting, actually. That has to be intentional, right? Like, that has to be intentional.
Rachel Weisz, what is your relationship with Shawn Mendes?
Poor Shawn. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He saw something he shouldn't have seen.
Yeah, he's 100 BPM
According
high.
to our investigation, the things that Shawn shouldn't have seen resulted in the loss of his right leg and nearly took his life. What are you and the mastermind behind this trying to hide?
Oh, the shadow on her neck
Since when
looks
did
so
you start
interesting.
being concerned about human lives? Go on then. Do what you do best. Everything you want to know is up here in my head.
Well, maybe she's a little panicked. Oh, right. I'm supposed to interact. When in Rome. Do you think her head's gonna explode? I'm kind of excited to see if her head explodes.
Five, 4, 3, 2,
2, 1.
Synchronization complete.
All right. Okay. Show me. Ooh, wait a second. Somebody is missing part of their information. Okay, look. I've never seen somebody's head explode like that, and it looked really cool. Like not that I want people's head to explode. I like new, unique experiences. And how often do you experience somebody's head exploding? Okay. Exactly. They're hiding information. She's trying to hide things from us. I wonder what she's hidden. Hello? Oh, God. Oh. Why do you have a head exploding emote?
Professor, I messed up.
What happened?
An explosive personality.
I couldn't stop
Lily!
him.
Who saw it?
Oh, Peace Lily.
Sean.
That's what it is.
Shawn Mendes. He's still lying downstairs.
Yellow.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
I didn't even think about that.
Should I kill him? He was carrying a recorder. He recorded a vital conversation between us. What if others learn of this?
She's so ready to kill him. She was like, do I kill him? Miss, there's other options first.
Yes, Professor.
Calm down, Rachel. First, use the ID I gave you to delete all the relevant research data that Lucas has obtained.
Explode him. Hello, Yumi. How you doing?
I'll take care of the rest.
Yes, Professor.
Girl, I was already wearing the gloves. I'm gonna murder him anyway. Anyways, using card level B, mail. We're going to delete everything. We're deleting everything. Inbox is empty. Done it. Subject Lucas. Species originally human, non-amalgamation of Dasein and human. Status physically dead. Vital signs maintained by Dasein. Food human corpses. Method and objective: observe and analyze the outcome and potential effects of Dasein human amalgamation. To maintain Lucas's vital signs, the subject is regularly fed human corpses, and the consumption is recorded. Food consumption figure: day 1, 2, day 2, 2, day 3, 2, day 4, 3, day 5, 3, day 6, 4, day 7, 7, day 8, 10, day 9, 11, day 10, 12. Do you think it was getting bigger? I wonder if it was getting larger. I hope it's getting larger.
You used Grade B access to delete all records. As a result, Shawn wasn't able to file a case against you.
So,
who's that access belong to?
We'll explain in a second.
Tell me, do you think a glimpse of a memory is the absolute truth? You don't get to choose to see the events that led up to these memories, or what transpired after. They're picked out for you by Mother.
What? Mother! What are you doing to me,
What?
Have
Rachel?
you ever thought about
Wait, what?
it? Perhaps even just once given it some serious thought.
What the? What?
Mother?
Just what kind of
What are you
memories
saying?
make us the people we
What the? Hi, Palma.
Can anyone hear me?
That's not right. That's not right. So basically, what that record was telling was that every time it would eat corpses, it started increasing the amount of corpses it was eating, meaning that it's probably growing over time. Run away from the murder.
I'm making dinner. Give me a hand, would you?
Yes, I'm massive
Hey
now.
there, lazy bones. Can you set the table for dinner?
She has a face. 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 Why does she have a face? She didn't have a face before. Why are there faces now? That's not... Okay. Okay. This is German. Oh, this is so German. Why are we British Germans? What? Because this is German. This is so German. This is a German, like. Wait, are we doing dinner? Why do we have? No, this is breakfast. Why are we mixing breakfast and? Well, I mean, I suppose this also works. Why are we mixing the breakfast and we are mixing the supper? This is not right. This is what we do for... okay.
I've set the table.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm so busy. Be a dear and turn off the radio in the
That is so strange indeed. I don't get this. Why is it like this? Warum ist das so? Nein, das ist nicht Brunch. Das ist Sie hat das nicht gesagt. She didn't say that. No. Yes, but okay. This game has a lot of things in it that makes no sense. So, like, I expect them not to make sense. And that is why I need to make sense out of them. Hello, Mother. Hello, Mutter. No, you're good. That's fine. There we are. Hello. Look at all these TVs are. We can't leave though. So.
I've turned off the radio.
Good boy.
Good boy. Chad, you're a good boy.
That's been killing me lately.
Such a good boy.
Can you go to my bedroom and get me the painkillers?
Where?
On the nightstand.
Okay, Mother, I will go get some for you. Is this a bathroom? No. Yes, it is a bathroom. Look at it. Good boy, Chad. Chad, I have no face. Help. Chad, I have no face. Fine, Addie, you can be good girl. Good girl, Chad. Good girl. All of you, as one whole. Good nuts. Delicious back pain medicine. Why do you have so many cassette tapes? Why is my family weird? Yes, Red Moon. Alright, take it. No.
Daniel, you're such a good boy. Place the painkillers on the kitchen cabinet, won't you?
Where are we putting some? Over here? That's not in the kitchen. Okay, if you, here's the kitchen. Ah, there.
Are you feeling okay?
Don't worry about it. Hey there, lazy bones. Can you set the table for dinner?
Yes. Interesting. Okay. Hello, JJ. How you doing? I'm so kind confused right now. Do I do one here? And then one there?
I've set the table.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, I'll go turn off the radio. It was just on.
I'm so busy. Be a dear and turn off the radio in the study, would you?
This is book fan. Ah, a bit on the nose here, aren't we? 1984. Really? That's crazy. Quesadilla. Quesadilla makes you some quesadilla.
I've turned off the radio.
Good boy. My back's been killing me.
Und viele gets.
Can you go to my bedroom and get me the painkillers? They're on the nightstand.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Of course I get this. Why would I not get you painkillers? Was that erst? And go put them in the cat? Are we going to have to do this again?
Oh, Daniel, you're such a good boy. Place the painkillers on the kitchen cabinet, won't you?
Are you feeling okay?
Don't worry about it.
I guess we're doing it again.
Hey there, lazy bones. Can you set the table for dinner?
Okay.
I've set the table.
Once the radio's back.
Daniel.
I've turned off the radio.
And then we get the pills. Come on, yes, yes, yes. I'll grab the pills. Hurry up, hurry up. Hurry up. They're right here. Got some? There has to be something that's going to happen. There's going to be something that happens. And I put them back.
Oh, Daniel, you're such a good boy. Place the painkillers on the kitchen cabinet, won't you?
Okay.
Are you feeling okay?
And the plates are back.
Don't worry about it. Hey there, lazy bones. Can you set the table for dinner?
Wild.
I've set the table.
And the radio's back.
Thank you, Daniel. Be a dear and turn off the radio.
Well, we go grab the pills ready. Can you grab them ready? You see the drawer is staying open. Of course. I can make you some tortillas. Let me make you
Turned off
some.
the radio.
Good boy. My back's been killing me lately.
It's very easy. You just need some flour, oil, butter. Okay.
Oh, Daniel, you're such a good boy. Place the painkillers on the kitchen cabinet, won't you?
Are you feeling okay?
Oh no, it's back.
Don't worry about it. Hey there, lazy bones. Can you set the table for dinner?
Interesting. I refuse. You can't make me. There's something I'm missing here. Something we're missing. What am I missing, chat? We are looped. We've done it 3 or 4 times. Hmm. 1966 explosion dam cover in Dasein. Okay. Just gotta need to find the other. We need to find the other books. The other one's gotta be around here somewhere. If I were, oh, there's one. I think. No. Chat, how long would you have kept watching me go around in circles? Stinky chat. Chat stinky. Which one of you stinky? Why are you all stinky? Explain it. Have fun. Get some sleep. Sleep well, okay?
I've set the table.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm so busy. Be a dear and turn off the radio in this.
Alright, so that was that. Good night, good night. So we need 5 more copies. Open. Okay. I'm crazy, right? They're just gonna be in here. I feel like they wouldn't be in here. That wouldn't make any sense. I feel like they're gonna be on like part of the, no. Crazy. I was crazy once. They put me in a room, a rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. They put me in a room, rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. They put me in a room, rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. Put me in a room, a rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. Put me in the room, a rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. I was crazy once. They put me.
I've turned off the radio.
Good boy.
Oh, don't do that.
Back's been killing me lately. Can you go to my bedroom and get me the painkillers? They're all
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. What am I missing?
Oh, Daniel, you're such a good boy. Place the painkillers on the kitchen cabinet, won't you?
Are you feeling okay?
Don't worry about it. Hey there, lazy bones. Can you set the table for dinner?
Fine. See, the pills are there. I'll do this one more time. Something different better happen. Something different better happen. Father first. Then the mother. then me. And my brother is dead, so it's weird that he gets one.
I've set the table.
Thank you, Daniel.
Mother, there's not going to be any liquid in this soup
So
soon.
busy. Be a dear.
I don't
and
trust
radio
this.
in the study, would you?
Need more clips of sounds? Why? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. It's gotta be here somewhere. What if I just don't? Grumble, 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 grumble. Where is the book? Mother, if you don't give me a book.
I've turned off the radio.
Good boy.
Mother, do you have a copy of 1984 here?
Back's been killing me lately. Can you go to my bedroom and get me the painkillers? They're on the nightstand.
It better be in there. Throw play there. Are we missing something? Have to be missing something, right? Like, it's no way that I'm not missing something right now. Because last time the book just appeared. That's what somebody already said, but like, if I look where the eye's looking, you know, it's not. There's nothing like there. I think Dwarf was saying that. This is in the stack of books somewhere. I don't understand it. They're in the child's room again? Yeah. I thought that was going to be one. But not. Okay. Let's do puzzle. Puzzle time. Okay. Cylinder. Square. Circle. Wait. Cylinder. Square. Circle. Pyramid. Oh. Red. It's red. It's red. Do you want to know why? You want to know why? Because it's the top view. That's the side view. It's the top view. Got it. Okay, kids' room. Is there something we're missing in here? Okay, wait. Oh, this is something stupid, right? Hello, shiny whatever. Oh, dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. Okay, 9. Chat, write this down. 1, 9. Wait, 1 is 1, 2 is 9, 3 is 8, 4 is 4. Okay? Oh, I'm so stupid. Did anybody write that down? I see. You didn't have to. It's 1984 in the right direction. No, you're fine. You're fine. Oh, it's a 3D printer. That's not a 3D printer. Oh, wasn't that fun? Monkey. Koopa Nooter. Bobby McKay. Doesn't injection, shows no abnormalities, showed agitated delirium. Interesting, interesting. Most definitely not Flubber. Where's your head? What?
Daniel, listen to me. You need to wake up. Open the camera in front of you. Open it.
What is this? Where are you?
What is this?
Why can I hear your voice?
We don't have much time. Do you see that eye? Focus on it.
Okay.
Now, press the shutter button.
Oh! It was an eyeball. You about to fight some eyeballs, chat? Eyeball
Why does
fighters.
this camera looks so weird. I should ask Mother about it.
Oh no, Mother's gonna be. Oh no. Hey, chat. Door's gone. 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 Ah.
Yay! My plane flew further than yours.
She won't be able to spy on you now. I should go.
No, wait! Who?
scold us again.
What?
I need to find my mum. Ask her what's going on.
We're not gonna like this, man. We're not gonna like this, man. Oh. I have a bad feeling, chat. My little voidlings, I have a horrible, horrible feeling about this.
Mother must be in the kitchen still. I need to get to her.
Mm-hmm.
Mum, do you know... Mum?
Where is it? In the pot, maybe? No. The door. And we're gonna have to call it there, chat. We can hang out for a little bit, but I have other plans I need to do today. Did y'all have a good time today? Did y'all have a good time? I think that was a lot of fun, that game. It was really, really freaky. Very cool. Oh, yeah, no, her back got bad. Man, I feel bad for that girl. Did y'all have a good time? Did y'all enjoy watching that? I did. I most definitely did. Oh, I'm a bit out of it. I wish I could take a nap. Quick hug. Yeah, come here, Jap. Come here. Come here. Come here. A little closer. Here. Get a little bit closer. Put your head right there. All right, come here. Nice little hug. Nice little hug. Not better? I'm tired. I am so tired. I did not get enough sleep last night, chat. And I don't think I'm going to get enough sleep tonight either. But it is what it is. One day I'll get enough sleep. One day. Thank you for the stretch. Oh, shoot. I snoozed the ad for 5 minutes. Yay. Now we're reaching an end of the stream. For all of you new people who enjoyed hanging out, it's lovely to meet you. I hope you all come back. Remember, we stream every single day. Every day. Starting at 3:30 a.m. during the weekdays. And starting at 6 a.m. on the weekends. And in the evening, we stream 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's 2 2-hour sessions every single day, no matter what. Even if I'm sick. Well, okay, we might cut it down to one session on days I'm sick, but remember, for a whole year, we'll be streaming every single day. We're on day 91, which is absolute. Hey, stop trying to set fire on. No fire. No. Bad. Chat, it is disappointing that we had the whole raid thing planned still, and we still haven't gotten raided for it. I'm like, I have this whole act prepared. I have the sounds. I mean, listen. We even have the. Oh, wait for it. Did the footsteps not play? The footsteps didn't play. Okay, well, it's a good thing we didn't get raided. There they are. And then we move. I think I need to change that scene. I think what I need to do is I need to make it so that the body disappears off the screen. Then we go there, and then I can go. That's what we should do. Ah, that's smart. Okay. Hear me out. Hear me out. Chat. This is what I'm going to do. No, I'm off the screen. Okay. We're going to go in here. Can you request a window? I mean, maybe. I can see if I can install one. It might be a little difficult, but I'm sure I can find like a, I don't know, general contractor or something. I'll pay, how about I paint a window, okay? Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I feel like we, this is not me hating on anybody. I think we just have had bad luck, that the people that normally rate us are busy, or maybe they've changed their schedule. Let's see if I can fix this real quick. Paint a bright side. Okay, we're going to go into here. We're going to go in here. We're going to go in here. We're going to scroll all the way down to, I think this is a move, right? Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to move my model here. Core position. Perfect. Hello, Queen Midnight. How you doing? Okay, we're going to test that. You ready? Perfect. Okay, so here's what will happen. Normal scene. And then we get rated. We get rated. And I can go, whoo, and I can come out. Yes, I am ready. We have the raid scene. It's good. It's perfect. And then you know what happens, chat. You know what happens, right? We have them, you know. We have them. We start them close. We slowly push them back. Tell them to keep walking backwards. Go back. Go back. Go back. And then we have them locked. And then we get to keep the raiders. Oh, why are you sad? I'm sorry to hear you're sad. It's perfect now. It is perfect, though. Hi, Nia. We're about to go to bed. Why are you awake? It's way too late for you. So it's perfect. Okay, as long as I think the one issue I'm going to have is triggering one of the sound effects because the sound keeps re-triggering when we come back to the scene. So if I do that, it's fine. Aha. Wait. I have an idea. Okay, this might work. You ready? Normal scene. Other scene. Silence. Pull up. And yes! We're good! It's perfect! It's perfect. Okay. Oh. Yeah? Sorry to hear that, Nia. Anything I can help? Yes. You heard a click? Did you heard the door closing and everything? Yes. All right, chat. You'll be good. We're gonna find somebody to raid. I mean, okay, I'll let you out. I'll let you out for this part, okay? I think it's funny that when the door opens, I vanish also. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. I don't know why that would happen either. I hope you're doing okay, though. All right. You all behave yourselves. And I hope something goes better for you. Ostian. Keepers? Is Keeper live? I guess we can raid into Keeper. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make her the cutest that I've ever seen. Wait, Keeper's not live. Is Keeper live? Oh, there's Keeper. Keeper's been peak. Sandman, I'm alone. Ain't got nobody to call my own. So please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. All right. What's the special event that they're doing? Special event. Now we're gonna raid Keeper. We said we're gonna raid Keeper. Raid Keeper. Y'all be good. Love you all so very, 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 very much. Y'all be good. Hearts. All right, chat. Go say hi for me. All right. Mwah, 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 mwah. Go out and be productive. Bye, lovelies.